The wait is finally over. Linkin Park has finally announced everything. New singer Emily Armstrong from the band Dead Sara, new drummer Colin Brittain in place of Rob Bourdon, releasing a new single, The Emptiness Machine, announcing a brand new album called From Zero that comes out on November 15th, a handful of tour dates that literally begin next week. Everything literally came all at once. We'll gloss over all of it, but with regards to Emily Armstrong, did the band make the right choice? Welcome back to The Logan Show. Let's critique. Obviously, there were a million people that were rumored or speculated to come into the band and replace Chester Bennington, which I did a video on that just a few days ago, going over all of the popular options, the ones people were talking about a lot, like Derek Whibley from Sum 41, Bonnie Fraser from Stand Atlantic, and so on. But one that we did not name was Emily Armstrong, only because I really hadn't seen much about it outside of maybe a few people here and there saying something. And I think somebody actually commented on my video saying that Emily Armstrong would be a great fit. But other than those few examples, I haven't really seen her name pop up that much. Anyways, so when I fired up Linkin Park's live stream up earlier today, I watched the whole thing, and I really have some mixed feelings on it. I guess to sum up my thoughts on her performance with the band on Thursday, and we'll get into the new song here in a minute and all the other stuff. But as far as the live stream performance goes, I guess I'm just really on the fence. There were some things that I liked and some things that I really didn't like as much. When it comes to doing Chester's clean vocal parts, I gotta say, I thought she did a great job. Obviously, it's not Chester, doesn't sound like Chester, and went from a male to a female voice. But overall, I would say that I was content with the result. To be fair, you know, I am a big Linkin Park fan, but I certainly wouldn't stretch it and say that I'm a diehard or anything like that. So in that respect, I can see the point of contention where there's a great divide, or a new divide, if you will, over Emily being in the band. And so I guess with some of the more hardcore fans, I can understand where they're coming from. Where my point of contention lies, though, is with her screaming. I'm not saying that she can't scream, because she absolutely can. She does a great job screaming. But what I'm saying is that I don't really think she has the right scream that fits Linkin Park. I guess I don't really know how to explain it, other than that just for me, it didn't feel right, I guess. And maybe that's where the whole thing of, you know, bringing in a female to replace Chester doesn't quite stick the landing for some people, is, you know, with the older songs and especially the heavier ones. Because like I said, I thought she did a great job on the clean parts. It was really the screaming that I guess I took issue with. And she also seemed like she was straining her voice quite a bit, which, you know, I guess I would say that obviously she's a pro. She's been at it with her band, Dead Sara, for like 20 years now. And I'm sure there were a lot of nerves going into this performance. I mean, there's a lot riding on this. Had so many eyes on her. This has dominated the news this past week and a half. So I'm sure nervousness played a role in maybe straining her voice in that live stream. But I don't know. The screaming just didn't quite do it for me with her particular screams. I just don't think overall it's the right kind of scream for the band. But why I think Emily was a right choice, I don't know if I would say the right choice, is I think there's a lot of different routes that the band could have gone. But I think she is a right choice when it comes to the band moving forward. If they were going to continue on and tour only on things of the past and just focus on their old records, like a lot of these classic rock bands do, even though I guess at this point one could argue that Linkin Park is a borderline classic rock. I mean, the band's been around for like 25 years or something. But what I really mean when I say classic rock here is referring to 70s and 80s bands, and really a band like Foreigner, which Kelly Hansen has done a great job filling in for Lou Gramm. But let's be real. Who's going to see Foreigner to hear anything new? I mean, it's just not happening. So if that was the route that Linkin Park wanted to go, I think bringing on somebody like Bobby Amaru from Saliva or the singer from the Hybrid Theory tribute band in Portugal would have been ideal, but that's not the route that they wanted to go, not the move they wanted to make. And I think that's the right call. You know, they're still young enough guys and they still hold some relevance. So that puts them in a good position to be able to carry on and move forward and release new music that people will care about and be interested in hearing. And that is why I absolutely think that Emily is a right choice. If they would have tried to carry on with a male singer, yes, I think it could have maybe served the older songs a little bit better. But having a male and trying to push forward, and kind of like I said in the last video, I just think that the Chester comparisons would just never fucking end, and rightfully so. I mean, the guy had an iconic voice, but when you bring a female into the mix, I think it puts him in a good position because, one, not only is it difficult to compare a female voice to Chester's voice for obvious reasons, but I think it also marks a brand new era for the band, and at that, a band that's never been afraid to take chances. Just go listen to Hybrid Theory and then fire up One More Light, their last album. This band has never been afraid to take chances. And not to mention, I think bringing Emily in also opens up the door for some unique and interesting vocal parts that you could do between her and Mike Shinoda. I also thought that the single, The Emptiness Machine, was pretty great. I've heard it like 3 or 4 times now, and honestly, it really has grown on me each time that I've heard it. Is it the best thing I've ever heard? Absolutely not. Is it the best thing Linkin Park has ever released? Again, not by a long shot, and I doubt they'll ever top some of their output with Chester, but it is a great song, and I think it's an even better song when you look at it, or I guess really listen to it, through the proper lens. If you're looking for In the End or Bleed It Out or Numb or something like that, you will be sorely disappointed, I think, in my opinion. But if you can look at it as a new era for a band that, again, has never shied away from taking chances over the years, no denying that it's a solid song. And if that's, really what we can expect from the new album, From Zero, if that's what the album's going to be like, I think it'll set the band up in a great position moving forward. But that said, I would love to know your thoughts on it. Let me know what you think down below. One last thing on Emily. I am a little bit curious to see what all of this means for her band, Dead Sara. They released a single last year called Violent, but it looks like they haven't released an album since 2021 with Ain't It Tragic. They did a few one-offs last year, but I don't think they've done a full proper tour since 2022 when they went out with Demi Lovato on her Holy Fuck album. And outside of posting about this all this Linkin Park stuff that just happened, their socials have been fairly inactive as well. So it's probably a safe bet to say that the band is probably on the back burner now for at least the foreseeable future. The other thing I found interesting about all of this is that the OG drummer Rob Bourdon did not return alongside the rest of the guys, of course being replaced by Colin Brittain, like I mentioned earlier. And I guess after looking into it, I guess ever since Chester died back in 2017, Rob has distanced himself from the band quite a bit, with Mike Shinoda telling Billboard in a brand new interview. Rob had said to us at a point, I guess it was a few years ago now, that he wanted to put some distance between himself and the band. And we understood that. It was already apparent. He was starting to just show up less, be in less contact, and I know the fans noticed it too. The Hybrid Theory re-release and Paper Cuts release, he didn't show up for anything. So for me, as a friend, that was sad, but at the same time, I want him to do whatever makes him happy, and obviously everybody wishes him the best. So obviously a huge bummer there, but certainly understandable as well. As for Colin Brittain and his background, obviously he's a drummer, but perhaps he's best known for being a songwriter and producer, working with such acts as 5 Seconds of Summer, Papa Roach, All Time Low, A Day to Remember, and so on. Of course, alongside the lineup reveal and the album announcement, the band announced 6 dates beginning next week on September 11th, which is just absolutely insane. But these shows will sell out very, very quickly, probably in a matter of minutes, I would imagine. So in the end, it doesn't even matter. They have not announced a full proper tour. These 6 shows are all in September with just 1 in November. They're scattered all over the world. But in that Billboard article that I brought up a minute ago, the band is looking to go into stadiums next year, which is unsurprising to say the least. And while I likely will go to one of the shows if there's one nearby, man, I gotta tell you, I am so sick of stadium shows. It's just, oh my God, it's always such a pain in the ass. I absolutely hate it. But hey, you know what? We're living in the era of major stadium tours, and they pack out. So it's understandable why these bands do it for sure. But my God, give me an arena or an amphitheater, especially a club, any day. But God, I am so over stadium shows. Luckily, we won't have to wait long at all to see how the band does in a more traditional live setting as opposed to the live stream, as the From Zero World Tour begins on September 11th with the album dropping on November 15th, and I'm sure between now and then there will be at least another single or two releasing. All right, though, I gotta run. My fiance is waiting for me to fill up her Emptiness Machine, so I gotta go. But thanks so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you next time on The Logan Show.